morning, dear fellow human. It's just gone 5 a.m. here in London, and it's so beautifully quiet here. Before everyone's woken up, it's so nice. The birds, the sirens, even at 5 a.m. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to the second video on this new series of the Big Sigh, this new YouTube venture. One thing I've noticed this morning as I've been going to the loo and doing my bits before starting recording here, one thing is I've noticed my mind really trying to prepare something to say and thinking of good stuff to say, and then it then creates a fear of what I'm going to say, which is really interesting. It's like I've then got this idea that I'm like, oh my god, I have to communicate this. That's such a good thing to say, and then I worry about remembering to say it, you know? So I think that my idea with these videos is that it's going to be complete free flow, as much as I can, as real as I can do it in the moment, and let go, sort of train myself to let go of the idea of having to prepare anything to say. And I think that really develops my sense of trust in myself, and it'll be a really, really good practice. I'm a big meditator, and I'm a big fan of the Taoist philosophy, so I feel like it'll be a really good way of helping me build trust in myself and trust in my future self to say what needs to be said in the moment. But yeah, I wonder if it might be nice to all join in with a collective sigh, or if you'd like to join me, I'm going to take a really big intentional sigh. I've already been doing quite a lot of sighing. Having some fun. Yeah. And what I sort of imagine when I'm doing these sighs is, I call it the Big Sigh, this whole channel, because I sort of imagine when I'm doing the sigh, it's just like, okay, I give up, I surrender, I let go of the effort that I've been clinging onto so much. I stop all of this trying, pretending, and I'm just going to be me, and I'm just going to speak the truth. It's as if you've been, I sort of imagine I've been clinging onto, or just imagine when someone, that moment when someone's been clinging onto a lie for so long, and finally they're just like, okay, I give up. I'm gonna just accept that I've been lying and tell the truth and face the music, whatever that may be. And that practice, actually, just imagining that, has been really helpful to me, because life is so much more enjoyable and connected when I'm just being myself, because then I don't have to second guess anything. And there's this idea of this thing that helps me, which is basically like, okay, you may not like this. This may mean I lose connection with you or whoever. But but I'm just going to be myself. Like, what's the truth here? What's actually real? You know, that's what I'm most... I feel like that's where we're most comfortable, because we're just being ourselves, and it's the most loving, the most self-loving and self-accepting. And it's a relief living from that place when I can remember to do it. But of course I'm performing an awful lot of the time. So anyway, yeah. The invitation is to bring some of that energy, if you want to join in with a big sigh with me. So just like, flush away the bullshit, you know, that's quite an unkind way to put it, but like, we can just be human together. And I think that's one of the things about this channel, is that I'm actually going to pause that thought. I'm about to talk about the human experience, so don't forget it. Help me come back to it. I've got quite an ADHD brain sometimes. So yeah, let's just take a big sigh together. So yeah, nice big in-breath. Okay. Okay. I give up. I give up trying to perform, trying to be anything different. Beautiful. Well done. I might take a sip of tea. Got some nice chamomile tea here. I'm conscious that all the train noises and the plane noises and the bird noises, God, the parakeets, they are everywhere now, goodness. Conscious that might be really loud. I haven't actually got a mic yet. I plan to get one. It's in the post. But yeah, I hope this audio comes through okay. Yeah, the human experience. I think just expanding on what I was saying yesterday, I don't particularly want to give advice or impart information doing these videos. It's more, I guess, an inquiry into the human condition that I think we all share. And yeah, I'm sort of using myself as a test dummy and just observing what's going on inside me and trying to, yeah, just be curious about that, like what is going on there. And I have a belief, a really strong belief, that every thought I've ever had, or every type of thought, every emotion, every feeling, every sensation has been experienced by countless people throughout history, and probably is being experienced by countless people today, you know, in this moment. And I guess that's why I'm sharing these thoughts and these videos, because I imagine that they might resonate with the cat's pack. Yeah, I imagine that the experience that I'm experiencing might resonate with some. And I've lived for so many years with so many thoughts, imagining that, to use a friend of mine, George Thompson's phrase, I'm uniquely fucked up, you know? And even that concept of being uniquely fucked up is so ununique. Oh, I feel like so many of us experience that, you know? It's like the parts of us that we hide. And I think that we do that because there's two different things. It's almost like well, this has certainly been my experience anyway, like two lives. There's one life on this hand that it's like what people are doing around us and what people say is socially acceptable, and it's basically the should life, I would say. When we're children, obviously we're looking around us for cues as to what is acceptable behaviour. How do we receive love? How do we need to behave in order to survive, fundamentally? And so we're constantly absorbing behaviours and teachings from our surroundings, our environment, our conditioning, right? So I guess it's you might call this our conditioned life. Which is built on stories from others. And then on this hand, you have our own reality. And so often these ideas that our societies have, or our friends have, our parents have, whoever, they're really actually not aligned with what's really going on in our life, what's actually real for us. And I think that I've seen in myself so much of my behaviour is actually driven by this side, and really wanting to be accepted, really wanting to fit in, really wanting to be loved, like thinking of ways that I can be attractive to a partner, that's not the realness. It's like, oh, how can I project an image of being a certain way so that I can be attractive and get the things that I want, essentially get the love that I want, get the respect that I want, fulfill all these very human needs, essentially. So yeah, I feel like my life throughout my 20s particularly, I mean, I struggled with a lot. I think I mentioned it in yesterday's video. I struggled with a lot of depression and social anxiety throughout my 20s. It's kicked off at the back end of my uni experience at university. Because I guess so much of that suffering came from feeling I should be somewhere, I should be a certain way, and my reality feeling so different to that. And I feel like the distance that those two seem to be away from each other is the level of suffering that I endured, It's almost like a direct correlation. The further away that I think I should be to where I actually am, the more pain, the more suffering I experienced and experience still. So yeah, these videos are like, let's try to, I really just want to be vulnerable and very real with people, and in that way, because I think that so many people are experiencing all of these things, I feel like instead of giving advice, instead of giving information, I just want to give permission. I think that's the whole goal with this video series. Because, yeah, which reminds me what I wanted to say, which was so much of my life I've been seeing these parts of me come up on this side, on the truth side, like the realness in me. I've seen all of these things that I'm like, hang on, that doesn't fit with society's stories of how I should be. I can't be that way. I'm talking about the things that you might consider ugly or embarrassing, or, anything like that. Like, I don't know, getting angry with people. I've got quite a few blockages around anger, because I've really been scared of the anger within me. So, and like thinking really unkind thoughts about others, like really unpleasant thoughts come up sometimes in me about others, and my response to that in my head when I notice those thoughts come up is really cutting and hurtful towards myself. I make a character judgment about myself based on the fact that these thoughts are bubbling to the surface. And I would just say, God, you're such an asshole. that's such an unkind thought. And then the fear comes in to say, God, if you expressed that, then people really wouldn't love you, or people wouldn't like you. If they knew that, God, you get abandoned, essentially. So that's this like childish fear, childlike fear of like a survival fear, right? And that's a very real. It's completely subconscious, but it's a real direct sense of terror when that sort of thought comes up, and then so then I identify as, oh my God, I'm such a bad person that I need to protect, or I need to work on myself and get rid of that before I can be lovable. I'm not lovable until I've removed all of this messiness, all of this very like humanness, really, and then I can be worthy of a relationship, of the job I want, of love, of a partnership. So yeah, it's that sense of So sorry, to give permission, it's now for me, what I really want to do is just to say, yeah, God, let's talk about the mess. Let's talk about the uncomfortable. Let's talk about the embarrassing. And I'm just going to talk about it from my own perspective and experience as much as I can. And just sort of share things that I've really struggled to share in the past about my human experience. And in that way, give permission for others. And I know that I'm not unique in thinking that I'm uniquely fucked up. And, oh my God, if people knew this thought, then they would abandon me. Or they really wouldn't think that I'm as nice as they think I am right now. Oh, that's a big one. Yeah. So, yeah, it's an attempt to allow people to just be like, oh God, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one to experience this. But there's a sense of relief in knowing that actually it's part of the human experience, to have all this mess. And the healing journey that I have been on has been just about realizing that mess doesn't make me broken. It's not actually fixing anything, or it's unlearning the stories. It's rewriting the stories that has brought about the actual healing for me. It's a level of self-acceptance. And then, because then I realized actually the thing that I was imagining was the problem hasn't been the problem at all. It's actually been how I've been relating to the problem, and all I need to do actually is just to remove this framing that I have around it, remove this baggage, this extra story. And then once I reframe that story, I realise so often that it's like, oh yeah, it wasn't even a problem in the first place. I'm just not allowing and accepting this human to be as he is, as human as he is, as messy as he is. I'm definitely a recovering perfectionist and a recovering people pleaser. So I try to watch that and pay attention to it, and yeah, my relationship with myself has totally changed. From the should side of things, I'm moving slowly as life goes on, and I think it'll be a whole life's journey. But from the should to the what actually is, and allowing what actually is, the truth, allowing that to be okay, however messy and uncomfortable that may be. And I feel so much relief when I'm living it from this place, because before I guess I was shooting in the dark, like kind of trying to figure out what other people want from me. And there's always this sense of tension because I never actually know, and it always changes. This idea of that's the people pleaser, right? Dynamic, right? Just trying to figure out what do they want from me and how can I behave in a way that they would like. And again, it's not conscious. It's not like I'm thinking those words. That's what's going on underneath it all. And in a quiet way, it's trying to manipulate others, you know. And I don't mean that harshly, but we're doing it to protect ourselves and it's an attempt to try and fulfill our needs, right? But gosh, I just had a sudden thought that I wonder if this video is actually recording. Just gonna check. Yeah, we're still going. Good. It's rambling on for like 20 minutes and it's not been recorded. Yeah. So that idea of shooting in the dark is there's so much tension in that. There's so much stress. Whereas again, the Big Sigh is just like, okay, I don't have to play that game anymore. Even if that means I have to face the music, I don't have to play this game. I don't have to perform. I don't have to put on a mask, you know. Like, I can just be in my realness. And there's such relief in that. And I feel like that's what society, you know, I feel like we could really benefit from doing this more in the world today. And vulnerability, God, just being vulnerable in my life has served me pretty much every single time. And it's scary to share what's actually true a lot of the time. It's really scary. But what I found is that, like, I guess my fear around sharing something vulnerable sometimes has, I imagine that people will respond in certain ways, like, oh my God, what a loser, or like, oh, that's a bit strange. I'll lose those connections that I'm wanting, or whatever. Lose whatever it is. But God, you know, every time, well, not every time, but I'm still surprised about it. But when I open up about something, when other people open up about something to me, it's relieving. Oh my goodness, it's such a relief, because so often what happens is, instead of getting this like judgment that I'm expecting, and that I'm like, oh, should I, shouldn't I, like warily, tentatively, like leaning in, should I, what I get instead is, oh wow, that's so interesting. You know, it's funny you say that, because I experience exactly the same thing. And people actually are relieved, because what is normally a bit taboo to talk about is suddenly, like, we're allowed to talk about it openly. And actually it creates, like, when I'm on the receiving end of someone else opening up to me, it's like, wow, this creates so much safety for me, because I don't feel like I have to pretend that I'm a different way. And actually, I really have the same thing that they're talking about. I really relate to what they're saying. And it's just, a new part of me that I can accept a little bit more, you know? I don't have to hide it away. And I feel like there's so much hiding that I've done, and I get the impression that our whole society is just hiding so much of what's actually real, you know? So, yeah, vulnerability, like just having that courage and step, has served me so well. I can't tell you how my life has changed since I decided to try and live over here, you know, on the truth side, even if it's uncomfortable or embarrassing, like every time. Because what I've realised is, on the whole, people are really quite understanding. And rarely have I got I don't think ever do I actually have like evil intentions or bad intentions. I'm either like doing something really unskillful to try and protect myself, or I am doing something just really unskillful or embarrassing in an attempt to get something done or whatever. I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. You know, when when one thing sort of leads to another. Your attempts are in good faith, but they just don't. They're just having the opposite effect, you know. And I notice myself lying sometimes, just like making up an excuse or a reason as to why I'm behaving the way I'm behaving. But actually, people would be really, really understanding if I was just like, do you know what? Oh, I tell you what, an example is at work the other day where I was trying to ask for a raise. And the way I did it was really unskillful. I kind of waited until my boss was like in the other room, and I kind of just like casually just shouted it over to him, because I realised in hindsight, I'm a bit nervous about this conversation, and there was part of me that felt safer to just like do it as a throwaway comment across the room. But then my other colleague told me that he'd spoken to my boss, or my boss had spoken to him about it, and felt really, not disrespected, but I don't know what he felt, but yeah, I don't think it landed too well. So I then had to think about it. I was like, oh yeah, I know why I did that. I was just really nervous about it, and I didn't really want to face it, and I just did this tentative like step in thing. And then I confessed that to my boss. I'm like, look, I'm really sorry that I communicated that message in that way. The truth was, I was actually really nervous about having this, and I just screwed up. And the point is that my intention was still good. I was trying to look after myself, this human being that I possess, you know. And I just got a bit awkward and nervous about it, and that's okay. And my point being is, most people are really understanding when we just admit that we're just whatever the human truth is, you know, whatever I was just a bit uncomfortable and embarrassed. And actually, when I said that to him, he was really understanding, and then we had a proper conversation about it. Not there and then, actually, but it opened up that connection. And so I found vulnerability to be like this insane connector. And, you know, the message that I have received or I've interpreted from society is, God, vulnerability is weakness. And in my experience, that couldn't be more wrong. It's such a... in my head, I think admitting that what we are afraid of the most is like the bravest thing we could possibly do. Like, one of the examples that I imagine, I'm a straight man myself, but I imagine, like, a classic example is just imagine having to come out to someone who's like, you know, is homophobic or something like that, you know. That must be such a tough experience. But at some point, it just gets to this point. Like, and so just to acknowledge and send love to all those people who have to go through that really deep suffering, because that must be so hard to hide such an enormous part of yourself. So yeah, sending love to anyone who's watching this that has been through that experience. To share that part of ourselves with someone else is such a terrifying thing. And if someone has the courage to admit that and just to speak their truth, to come out of the closet to someone in this case, you know, I'm like, that's got to be the bravest, strongest, most courageous thing that you could possibly do, because it's the scariest thing to do. Like, being vulnerable is basically doing the scariest things that we can possibly imagine. So I'm just in awe of people when, and I celebrate people and I celebrate myself when we can do the scariest things, we can admit the scariest things we can possibly imagine, you know? I'm just like, that is so strong. And when I receive people being vulnerable, it's such I feel honoured, you know? I'm like, wow, you are so fucking brave. It makes me cry. It's beautiful. It's like, yeah, it's so real and it's so connecting. So, yeah, maybe consider this video your invitation to lean in to being a bit more real, and have courage, and yeah, sending you so much courage, and celebrating you when you are doing this, you know. Yeah, in many ways for me, doing these videos is an attempt to try and be more myself and to build more love and trust in myself, like I mentioned already. To exercise that muscle of just not, of dismantling that story of shame that I have around sharing towards others, or just not having anything of note or interesting to say, or yeah, I talked about this in the last video, so I won't ramble on. And I think I'll wrap up there. It feels like a good time to wrap up and bring it to a close. But yeah, so just really sending you all like so much love. Whatever you're going through at the moment, it's probably really hard, because being human and this experience is really hard. So often, you know, so much of the time it's a challenge, it's a struggle, and we all struggle. So yeah, just sending you lots of love and support. And yeah, God, if you want a message in the comments, I'd love to respond. I mean, if you've got this far as well in the video, enormous thanks. I have no expectations around anyone watching any of this. So if you're still watching and yeah, you're still engaged by this, then I'm thrilled, and I'm thank you for engaging this far and listening to my rambles. And yeah, if you're going through something tough, or if you just want to reach out and have a chat, just whack a comment in the comments, or I don't know, I'm not that, to be fair, I'm still learning YouTube. Like, I don't know if there's a way to DM me on YouTube, but I don't think there is there? So yeah, I'll leave a link to my Instagram, and if you want to DM me on Instagram or whatever, then you're more than welcome to, and I will try to get back to as many messages as I can, or whatever messages come through. I'd happily have a chat, you know. So yeah, sending you loads of love and loads of strength for whatever it is that is human for you and real for you, you know, whatever's alive in your life right now. And look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video. Yeah, this is a new channel, I guess, and it's helpful to do the reminders to, yeah, if you could subscribe to the channel, I'd be really honoured, and like this video and do all of those lovely things, hit the bell, to stay with me and have these daily conversations. That would be an honour, that would be amazing, and that would make me feel really fulfilled, and it would be really nourishing for me. So, because I guess it would give me a sense that this has some impact on people's lives and it has meaning, as well as wanting to reach lots of people, I guess, and to help as many people as possible. So do subscribe, do like, do hit the bell if you can, and I will see you in the next video. But in the meantime, happy humaning, and yeah, if you're ever in trouble, just take a big sigh. Alrighty, lots of love.